What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Here with another awesome interview, one that I've been so excited for ever since I heard Adderall. Must have been like a couple years ago, and I was just starting to get into this cool post-punk funk. And sometimes you have these dreams, you think about artists you want to talk to, and you're like, it's not gonna happen, because I get those pretty often. And I'm glad that we finally made it happen. Much love to Jacob at Pitch Perfect for like trusting me and believing in me. Thank you to the one and only for wanting to talk. And, like I said, we have Shames Charlie Steen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. Appreciate this. And yeah, you've done a lot of good work. So thank you. Thank you for taking the
Thank
time.
you. And like I was saying, Cutthroat is an incredible album. I think the name perfectly encapsulates what the whole thing's about. It's a punch to the face.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. I mean, how did we land on Cutthroat out of all y'all are a really creative band. All the names you could have possibly got, Cutthroat. Why?
Well, I didn't know this until recently, but it came from Sean has a little sort of like I think it's called an Obi-Wan. I'm not too good at the technology side. And it's sort of like a tracker. And that was used in tracks like Cutthroat and After Party, and I think even like some of Lampiao and Plaster and stuff like that. It's kind of used throughout the record. And when he was doing the song Cutthroat, that was the name of one of the settings. So he called it that. And then when we were doing the album, it kind of encapsulated a lot of what it was about, sort of straight to the point and stuff like that, and hopefully a lot less fat. And so it just kind of worked together well. Like we kind of came up with a few different names and stuff like that, but none of them really seemed to fit. And also, it's a nice thing to do. I mean, we're probably the only people who care about this, but this is our fourth album. But every other album we've done is like a three-word title. And so this time it was nice to do something new. It was just sort of like have a one-word title and just be sort of straight to the point and sort of, make it more of a new thing to us instead of a continuation. It's like a new chapter. So yeah, that's it.
A new chapter. That's really interesting. Do you think you want to keep going with this funky, loose, almost Viagra Boys like inspired sound?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's interesting you mentioned Viagra Boys because I remember, we put out Food for Worms. Actually, I think it was before we released Food for Worms. We were with Viagra Boys in Australia, so that'd be like late 2022 or something like I can't remember when it was, but it was something like that. And yeah, I mean, we'd be playing with them, and it was just like, for fuck's sake, like going on after them or with, it's just, they're like one of the best live bands around, facts, and we all love them and their music. And I think watching them and just the sort of whole experience they create live and the atmosphere and the environment and stuff, I think was like, okay, like, we really want to get back to this. We're very proud of Food for Worms, but it felt like it had a little bit more melancholic moments on it. It had moments that were a bit slower, and we were kind of having to borrow from the first album, Songs of Praise, to kind of like up the tempo in the set. And so we were like, let's just write some fucking faster songs. And yeah, I just can't wait to tour this album, and that's a really good sign, you know. I just can't wait to play it and have a lot of fun with it.
I 100% agree. Like when I was listening to some of these tracks, I'm like, I want to mosh to this. I want to get punched in the face to this. I want to get kicked in the gut to this. It's perfect. And I think it's ironic that, maybe the best live act is calling the other best live act around the best live act, like the battle of the best. Because, I mean, you can't deny that there's something very special about Shame. And I mean, for me, I'm 15, right? It's just tragic that I didn't get to see Viagra Boys and Shame, like that duo. So, I mean, from my heart, from I'm sure everyone, we need to make that happen again.
I mean, I'd love to make that happen again. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. It's very fun touring with those boys.
Yeah, they're crazy. And Seb is a friend of the show. We had him on like
Yeah, yeah,
a
oh
year
yeah,
ago.
yeah. Talking about his fishing.
Yeah, oh, he's a fisher, all right.
Yeah.
Well, here, back on the album, I don't want to get, too off track. Let's talk about
Mm.
is it Lamp how do you say it? You said it before. Lampiao?
Lampiao.
Lampiao. I mean, I'm listening to this, right?
That wrong though. Don't worry. Don't. My girlfriend's
No?
Brazilian. She's like, that's not how you say that. Yeah.
Well,
So
tell me about that track though. I mean, it's such a unique, awesome. and I mean like evidently different track.
Yeah, it's very different. And it came together in a really nice way. It was like I was over. So my girlfriend's Brazilian English, dad's English, mom's Brazilian. Her parents still live there, and she goes back and sees them, once, twice a year. And I was over there, but 2 Christmases ago, not last year, the one before. And I went over there and I stayed in Brazil, and she had to come back to London to start work somewhere. And I was like, I'm just going to stay a few days. And her mum was born in the northeast of Brazil and then moved to Rio. But she wanted to take me out in Sao Paulo, which is where my girlfriend's from, for a meal, acarajé, which is like a type of northeastern food. And we were there and we were just talking about, it was me, her mum, and her dad. So shout out Regina and Johnny. And talking about like the 20th century in Brazil, which is very interesting. You had like this massive political movement, shift and stuff like that. You had the dictatorship, and she was like, and then you had Lampião and the Cangaceiros. And I'd never heard of his name before. And his level of, I mean, like Brazil's fucking a massive country with a massive population. He's almost embedded in the culture. There are certain songs like Mulher Rendeira, which was written by Volta Seca, which like loosely translates Dry Return, who joined. He was a bandit. So this is the long story. This is the short story. He was a bandit in the Northeast, and he moved around several states in the Northeast, and he was one of the most sort of feared people, and by some people he was loved, and by others he was despised. And I found that very interesting. And I was writing a lot about a lot of characters anyway, and a lot of the records to do with paradox. And paradoxes, and his sort of contradiction is that he was this backlands bandit, sleeping in the desert, robbing people and taking money and sort of living this life. Yet he also did interviews. He has his photograph taken many times. A Syrian documentary maker shot a load of footage when he joined his band. So he was a public figure while being he was on the run for basically the entirety of his life, and managed to evade the police for decades. And his wife, his partner, was called Maria Bonita. And Volta Seca, that person I mentioned earlier, also wrote a song called Accorda Maria Bonita, which is the lyrics to that is like, I think, it's like, wake up Maria Bonita, Accorda Maria Bonita, levanta para fazer. Like, it's time to get up and make the coffee. The morning has already risen and the police are on their way. Um, and I just found it really interesting how I came back to London from this trip and came in, and it seemed like no one knew about him, in a lot of the West. And I found that very interesting in itself. This was a person who was sort of level of fame was like Jesse James, and Bonnie and Clyde, him and Maria Bonita and stuff. And I found that really interesting. And I've been trying to learn Portuguese for fucking years now. And so when we were actually recording it, I called my girlfriend, who was back in Sao Paulo with her mum. They were in the car together. And I was like, I really want to I want to make it like a folk, like lyrically, I want to make it like a folk thing. And I was like, is there a song? And her mum and Zoe's mum was like, yeah, well, there's this song. And through complete luck, it just managed to fit in the beginning. And I mean, John Congleton really shaped that song as well. He really made it. It sounds very different sonically to, I think, a lot of the other stuff. But it's a really fun one. And I remember like Josh and Sean were ill one day when I went in and did the vocals for it. And then when they heard it, they didn't even think it was shame to begin with. So it's quite a nice thing to do. But yeah, that's kind of I've told that story in a really weird way. Um, non-linear. Like I say, I'm on my hangover day, so my brain might be working a bit slower, but that's basically all the information on it. But I think it's just interesting, and I mean, any excuse to hopefully try and get back to play in Brazil. It's one of our favorite places to play.
And the Brazilians, I mean, like some of the best crowds too. You see those videos and they're just absolutely incredible. I love that story.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that
And
could be
yeah,
a movie right there.
I know. Well, they've made films on him, and Yeah, they've made films on him. There's a Disney Plus TV show about him at the moment. I think I only watched like the first episode, and there's actually a really good show called Kangos Novel, like New Bandit. Sorry, that you should watch as well. But yeah, that's it.
Will do. You know, it'd be awesome. What if when y'all play that song live, you put
Mm.
up like a clip or a couple clips or whatever footage you can find of him, and just like have the crowd going crazy and you jumping around or with, not a shirt on or whatever, and just have him like up watching over like Dios or like God or whatever, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
We're making it happen.
yeah. Making it happen, making it happen.
Amen. And yeah, speaking of live shows, you know, awesome juggernaut of a United States tour announced, hitting
Mm,
like every city. And I emphasize like because there's one city on this tour that's not
mm.
on there, and it's my city,
What city's that?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh man, Atlanta's one of our favorite places as well. That's I've had some amazing nights in Atlanta. I've had some amazing nights. I mean, what it will definitely be is geographically. I feel
Mm.
like a lot of the time we played Atlanta, we've always had to like fly out from there to the next place or something like that. But man, I have a lot of fun in Atlanta. I've had a lot of good times. That's one of my favorite cities in America. And up until recently, you could smoke inside in the bars there. I remember that was one when we first went there and stuff. But I'm sorry, but we'll have to make that happen at the time. Hopefully, we get booked for a festival or something now.
A festival would be absolutely awesome. Shaky knees if you're watching.
Yeah, well, we played Shaky Knees, however, like 2 years ago, I think, and that was a great day. Got to see Tenacious D, which was funny as fuck.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a good day.
I've been trying to go to Shaky Knees, but teenager with limited job opportunities,
Mm.
it's pretty expensive. So I'm trying to use this outlet to get some tickets, and I got backstage for Weird Al,
Really?
which is it's gonna be badass, like insane night.
That'd be good. Well, what if we play Shaky Knees? We'll give you guest list.
Appreciate it. No, I just want to be there, be in the crowd, and get like rocked.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We'll make it happen.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I just can't wait for that. And tell me about, obviously this album's a departure. This
Mm.
album is new in a lot of ways, also with, if I'm not wrong, like a new producer, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that, right? Exploring the new sound, Jordy Creep reference.
Mm.
A new sound, a new producer, and a whole new vibe,
Mm.
Faster, bandits, cowards, all
Yeah.
this beautifulness in one album. Were there any challenges trying to make an album like this with all these new components?
The challenge, I think, for us is always writing. I mean, like, it's funny with with some bands, it's like the touring is the difficult part. They might argue and they might find the shows really hard. They might find being away from home really hard, but the writing part is really easy. Whereas with us, it's kind of the opposite way around. You know, we grew up together, known each other since we were kids, and so there's a lot of strong points to that, but there's a lot of cons as well. Um, but what always helps us, and I think a lot of creatives in general can benefit, will benefit from this as well, is just a deadline. As simple as that. And we had this kind of massive amount of material, but I think there was a period where we were a bit directionless. You know, like you're saying, there's a lot going on, and all five of us will like different elements, and want to pursue different avenues and stuff like that. And that's what's maybe the fun part is that we can, some people might invite something that you would have never seen coming into a song or something like that. But I think really, and every time you say we work with a new producer, yeah, we worked with John Congleton, who was fucking amazing for this record. And I really think he was the person who was steering the ship. We met up with him in London in Brixton. So we recorded it in December last year, and shows how long it takes to fucking release a record in 2025. And we met up with him in the summer last year, so a year ago, and we just told him straight. We were just like, we've always needed someone to be quite sort of harsh on us and sort of really tell us we started the band in a pub when we were really young, 16, 17, and we would always have the landlord coming in or Forbes's dad or other people, and we took in what they said and their advice because we trusted their sense of music, their taste in music and stuff. And I think we still kind of have that. It's weird because we came from that background of of like a community driven thing, and collaborative in some way in terms of like people are coming in and out. So we told him straight up, we were like, we need you to be like our sort of dad. Um, and he steered that, like certain songs uh had loads of different sections, and he'd be like, okay, that bit fucking sucks. Take that, make that faster, and kind of we I think we knew we wanted an album that was more sort of primal and straight to the point and stuff like that, but it was just about getting there, you know. And often as well, when we had that dead, there would be a sort of period. It wasn't really that long in the grand. I'm doing us a disservice. Like, it wasn't a huge amount of time we were writing for in the grand scheme of things, but it felt like there was a certain point where it's like, oh, are we actually going to get there? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And after we had the kind of deadline, things came together quite quickly. There are certain songs that I'm very fond of because they came together very quickly. And sometimes I can be like that. They weren't very overthought. And that would be like Spartak and Cowards Around came together just like, I remember like the band had done Cowards Around, and it was one Josh really wanted to revisit, and Josh really liked it as an idea. And I wasn't there when they first came up with it in the practice room. And he played it, and I actually just do the same melody with the chorus words or whatever, and like sort of on the spot. And I was like, "Yeah, do you think that's good?" And Josh was like, "I think that's awesome." Like, no overthinking, And
Mhm.
Spartak was a similar thing with Sean. Like, came in with the chorus. I did the melody for the chorus and the words, and then Sean just went home and just wrote the whole thing, the whole structure and stuff like that, and did actually the melody for the first half of the first chorus. And so it was already just nice and came together. And then when we came into the studio, it was actually it was hard work. I was writing pretty much all the lyrics in the studio, which I'd never done before. And but it was good because John could be like, let's take this out and let's play this fast. And we didn't do more than 3 takes for anything. But we would be in the room, and he would be in the room, and he'd be in the control room. We would try it a few different ways for, I would say, like either half an hour, speeding it up, slowing it down, taking out this section, taking out that, coming in different times. And then we'd just be happy with it. And he'd be like, let's go for 3 takes. And just that was it.
That's legendary. 3 takes. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which was the only negative time for that was when we actually got the stuff back. When we got them back, and I was only doing 3 vocal takes. I would spend a long time working out the melody and the words and stuff, and then, but by the time I went in to do the takes, it was only like 3. When we got back the songs, we got back Quiet Life, and I was like, I'm fucking flat in the chorus. And I was like, can you send the other takes? And I was just flat, and somehow I just hadn't. I'd overlooked it. And so then Josh has a studio in London, and I went in and did the whole vocals for that song in London. But that was the only thing that was changed. For the rest of it, yeah, it was really fun process working with James.
No, sounds awesome.
John, sorry.
Yeah, and he's a legend too. I mean, worked with incredible big names, and now
Mm.
you're on the list.
Yeah, yeah, we're very lucky. I mean, it's the thing where we treat every album like it's going to be our last, for the reason that we never thought we'd be in the position of doing one in the first place. And so, yeah, I mean, you don't know as well. You never know, and for that reason, we always try and work with someone new and do it in a different process, and experiment with stuff. And yeah, this way was just so fun. I mean, I'd love to work with anyone we've worked with before again.
No, that's a great, great mentality to have, just to keep things new and exciting and fresh. And I know that it's happened before where in your previous albums, there's always a departure and people are always like, "Oh, am I gonna like this? It's different," and they end up loving it. And it's
Mm.
it's like it's a trend because it's with every album. I was looking through some old threads on forums and stuff about your old albums, and I always see a comment. It's like, "Oh, this song's softer. I don't think I'm gonna like it." And
Mm.
then that same person's gonna come back like 2 months later and say, "I fucking love the album."
Well, I,
Like,
oh, I think like the best sign we had was maybe when Adam, who's A&R for Dead Oceans, he signed us when he came down to the studio and for a playback, and heard Cutthroat, and you could just see how nervous he was.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably my favorite reaction we've ever got. If someone is visibly nervous, then got to be a good sign.
Exactly. Keeping them on their feet, on the
Yeah,
edge of their seat.
yeah.
And tell me about Pack Shot, right? This is like the one, or I don't want to say like singular, but it's kind of like the slow song, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And even I was like comparing it to some of your other slow songs. I really wouldn't call it a slow song. I
Mm,
mean, it may be slower in tempo, but it's not, it builds up. It's almost jagged in a way with some of the instrumentation and just everything going on in it. And I think it's really interesting. It's a great take on the classic Shame slow song and reinventing it. Can you tell me about like the process of writing that song perhaps?
This song came about a while ago, and we were on a writing retreat, and it came about. And I would say to give credit to Sean and Forbes. I think are the people who really pushed for it, because when it came to doing the record, we were in this position where the track listing was actually really difficult for this one. Because so many of the songs feel like they could be the first song on the album.
Mm,
Quite a weird. So in the idea of doing something new again, like what we've tried to do in the past is sort of make a sort of longer one for the final song of the album, like Station Wagon and Angie and All the People being the last one. And so for this one, it ended up being a thing where we were like, okay, let's do something new, put a short song at the end, Axis of Evil, and not have that kind of thing. And we initially started out like, let's try and get 10 tracks on the album. We recorded 14, I think. Yeah, we recorded 14. We were like, let's try and get 10 tracks on the album. And we just couldn't. It ended up with no one being satisfied.
mm,
Uh, and and Sean was really pushing for this. And there was another one which wasn't on that, which was Screwdriver, which I really wanted. And we ended up kind of having this thing where we were like, okay, we'll put both of them on, so we have a 12. I mean, it's our longest album, but our shortest album. So it doesn't really matter anyway. Um, and I'm really happy we did put on Pack Shot because, yeah, it is something where it's sort of, I think a lot of the stuff's similar to what we've done before. We're a band on our fourth album. It's going to be, it's going to have links. But with Pack Shot, I think it's nice having that moment on the album to kind of breathe a little bit, but it feels a little bit more claustrophobic. When
mm.
before we recorded it, I almost thought it could sound a little bit like country teasers e. But I think the dynamics were so important to it, and it's a bit of a sort of scary song. Uh, I think. I'm intrigued to play it live as well, but I think it was just one where, like, I think Sean was like a massive fan of the ending, and just this side, we were thinking about it as an album as a whole. It's funny to think about isolated songs now, but I think the importance of just having like one moment on the album like that is a bit longer. Not very long songs on this record, but that was it all came about quite quickly, and I don't remember us ever sort of like working into it too hard. Like it's a sort of kind of like a bit of a jam song, I think. But I also say it's, and I don't write the music, so then I have someone calling me up being like, I spent 6 months working on that. So but that's how I remember it happening, it kind of coming together quite organically in the room. And I guess it kind of has that sort of country twang that like Quiet Life might have and stuff like that to the guitars.
For sure. Yeah. It definitely feels very organic. I'd compare it to River King off the Viagra Boys' latest album, where it's, you have that one breather track, but it's still a hell of a breather. I
Yeah,
mean, there's still so much going on.
we've
You're
still,
not relaxed.
yeah.
And it's great. I love that. And you keep talking about all this music that you recorded. I'm just wondering, is there a Shame EP in the future, perhaps?
I think what we might do is the plan is like hopefully to put out like one of the songs maybe before we do the American tour next year. I think it's quite nice release. We've never put out a record over summer before, and it's been really nice. And I think a lot of these songs are a bit more summery. And the one we'd probably be putting out is also quite summery, so I'd be intrigued to see how that is in a sort of winter, in the depths of winter. But no, I don't know. I think like I can't. Yeah, we might put out the other one as well, but. maybe I don't know. We're always an album band. We've never done an EP, but maybe we will one day.
Hey, it would be interesting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, and so shame, right? If you tell a random person on the street shame, I think the first thing that they think about is the windmill scene, right?
Mm.
All these bands that are connected by this one legendary venue. I don't live anywhere near the UK, and I know
Mm.
about the windmill scene, you know? It's kind of this big thing. Even if you're loosely tied, you're stuck there. You know, so it could be a blessing and a curse. I was wondering if there are any bands from that scene that are traditionally in that you'd maybe like to work with, you know, in a album on a tour perhaps, or
Mm.
just write a couple songs, hang out. Because I mean, you look at the Wikipedia page and it's like it's every big post-punk band,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. You know, is there one in mind that you've always wanted to do something with, or maybe one that you're really close with?
I mean, what's funny is I'm kind of struggling to think about one band at the Windmill that we haven't like worked with. You know what I mean? Because I guess, well, there's a different sort of there's different people who play there now to when we were there. You know, evidently, when we started out, it was Goat Girl and Dead Pretties, who now became Jacob, who does Wonder Horse. That was his band, and a lot of the songs he was playing then, he as in Wonder Horse. And then there was Sorry, and then Jerk Hub and Fat White Family and Childhood and da 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 da. I think one, yeah, you know what? I'll say one that I think would be who we know as well, and I would love to do a tour with them. Would be Warm Dusha. I'd say. I mean, I we were at their first ever gig. We would have been like 17 or 18 at the Windmill, and it was fucking mental. Like it's still they and still we get to play with them here and there, and we've known some of them for a long time, and they're still one of the funnest shows around. Like um, I don't think they've really uh compromised ever. They just do what they do, and people like it, and it's also very impressive because they like they they don't sort of they're not too precious, and they've carved out their own sort of world. So I think going on a tour with them would be fun. It might be a lot of late nights, but but it would be fun.
A lot of hangover Sundays, huh?
Yeah, a lot of hangover Sundays. Yeah,
Not the best. It's a sacrifice I think it's worth to make.
yeah, yeah,
And that'd be awesome. You know, I think I agree that the scene, especially, it's interesting to see the history where the bands are constantly evolving, constantly new bands. I mean, I think English Teacher is probably the newest from around there that's kind of like hit it big. And
mm.
it's super interesting to see the evolution of post-punk and all that jazz, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, I know English Teacher from Leeds, but I'm sure they play the Windmill a lot. It just feels like it's interesting. Like on the few times I have gone there recently, there's just all these new bands who are playing there, and you can tell the influence from like Black Country and Black MIDI and stuff like that. So go in and seven people with accordions or whatever on stage, like. But it's really cool, and really interesting, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great pub to hang out in.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list one day to go see a show there.
Yeah,
100%.
there's one every night of the week.
Crazy, crazy. And tell me about any live shows that you've seen. I mean, because you guys are constantly, ironically enough, also constantly playing shows and stuff. Every single time I look at Instagram, there's something new for me to see, whether it's
Yeah,
like a pop-up show playing the whole album or, like a music video or whatever it is, You're always busy. So,
yeah.
are there any maybe bands that you've seen that have really just blown you off your feet recently? That could be at like festivals, maybe a small band, maybe like some big band. Just someone that really, hit the hammer on the nail, right? That's the word.
Hit the
Hammer on
hammer.
the nail.
Well, there's a band we're mates with, called Bleach, who are really cool, and they're really tight and they practice a lot. I mean, there's other bands that we're friends with, like Cursor, who are really cool. I mean, I'd say like what's been really nice is we were just doing a few support shows with Fontaines, and it's always really nice just seeing your friends as well. And they've really, the quality of the sound and the gig is so good. Obviously, I will be honest. I think probably some of the best shows we got to tour with them would be Viagra Boys, like without a doubt, right? That some of those shows were just insane. And you know what? I went to Brixton Academy to see them recently, so that'll be a good example. And it was great. And I'll tell you one that I know I should probably, well, I guess like Bleach and Cuss are sort of, hit the sort of quota on sort of newish bands. I mean, I know we're playing with Mary in the Junkyard at Kentish Town Forum, so I'm really excited for that. But I'm really excited. We're playing with Queens of the Stone Age soon, and I've never seen them before, and I'm very excited to see them. I'm very excited.
If you could see the room I'm in right now, you would see a poster that I framed from
Mm,
my first ever rock show in the last row in a seated venue
mm.
for a band named Queens of the Stone Age. And they're the only band I've ever seen two times
Really?
because of how good they were. Ironically enough, I spent my own money and got one ticket to Shaky Knees for one day, which was some outrageous. It was like 120 bucks. That's
Mm,
crazy. I mean,
mm.
it makes sense, but it's just crazy. And I got barricade. Stood there the whole day just to see Queens of the Stone Age. They're
Really?
amazing. They're so good.
Yeah, everyone I know is like it's like the best live gig. So I'm so excited to see them. We're playing with them in Sheffield at the end of this month. So I'm so excited.
You got to tell me how that goes.
Uh,
They're like their dream interview. I would see them anytime again. They have a perfect discography, in my opinion.
mm,
Crazy.
yeah, yeah, they're great. I only got into them like weirdly 2 years ago. I don't know. I have no idea how. I don't know. I don't know how. But it was we were in America and then people were like, no, no, they're really fucking good. And it was that song, you think I ain't worth a dollar, but I feel like $1,000.
They opened with that at Shaky Knees.
Really? Yeah, I think that's one of the best intro songs on any album I've ever heard.
For
Like, yeah.
sure. No, I agree.
Oh,
No, you're gonna have your socks blown off.
mm.
They are truly, truly, truly incredible. I think Viagra Boys are also playing with them at one of these gigs.
Yeah, yeah, they're doing both the shows. So we're doing the second day there, and they're doing both days. But I know they're mates and they've played together, or I think they might have toured together. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And now my next question is going to be about food because I was just thinking throughout this interview, I forgot to ask you about some food related questions, which
Mm.
is a staple. I love doing that. If you watch the interview with Seb, he was cooking chicken while we were talking. If that shows you what I like to talk about. So, if you could describe the album using one dish, what would it be?
Oh, that's a really good. It wouldn't be pasta. It wouldn't be something carby. Um,
That's too safe.
that is too safe. Like, I would. I'm almost thinking like, would it be a curry? Would it be a nice curry, like a sort of, I don't know, or just a steak cooked rare? That's what I think it would be, like a massive T-bone cooked rare and
Sounds
left.
so good.
Well, that's what I'd say, and you have to eat it with your hands. No, no, that's what I'd say, and a panna cotta for dessert.
Oh, dude, you're speaking my language. I'll tell you, yeah, you come to Atlanta, we'll get it. We'll get a T-bone.
Yeah, let's do that. Honestly, I'd love that, mate.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I agree. I was thinking like a Cajun seafood boil,
That'd be good.
some kind
Good.
of like the tang of the sea, the spiciness, but
Mm,
also, I mean, can't go wrong with seafood.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
perfect answer. Perfect answer. Well, I want to say thank you for again coming out, for talking to me, for you spending your hangover Sunday on Zoom.
Mate, that's a pleasure, man. The questions are really good, and I thank you so much for taking the time as well, and
Thank
like
you.
listening to the record as well. Really appreciate that.
It was amazing. And I have to again thank Pitch Perfect, Jacob, for finally trusting me. Because I know also, wait, kind of sidetracked.
Mm,
You were talking about the song, the Wilco-esque song on the track. That was
yeah,
like my first encounter with Jacob, was trying to get an interview with Wilco. So it didn't work, of course. I'm too small. But here's to Wilco. And here's
it's
to maybe one day.
that will happen. That will happen.
Thank you. Hopefully, hopefully. But again, thanks to everyone. for, making this happen. And you can find me on Instagram. See if you can, I'm gonna ask you, see if you can hook me up with like Fontaine's management or whatever, because I can't find them. They're off the map.
I'll shoot Trevor a message.
Appreciate it. Anyways, you have a fantastic day. I hope you
Thank
get some rest. And I'm waiting for that T-bone in
you.
Atlanta, okay?
I'll be resting. I've probably burned about 4 calories today. Don't worry. I've been horizontal all day. But thank you so much, mate. Appreciate
Cheers.
it so much. Have a lovely day, man.
Yes, sir. Stay in touch.